What is something you know because of your profession, which you believe everyone should know to make their lives better, easier, or healthier? I work in local news. Let me tell you, local reporters are hungry for stories. They have quotas to fill and are constantly needing new content. So, if you have a problem, contact your local stations. Anything from a negligent landlord, needing a kidney, crooked contractor, or even an unsolved murder will be expedited because people hate getting negative press. And even if they can't solve your problem, people will usually come out of the woodwork to help if their heartstrings get tugged enough. It might sound cynical, but I've genuinely seen people's lives changed for the better because our news did a puff piece on them. If you pay attention to your kids, they'll do better. The fucked up shit you're doing, it is affecting them even if you don't realize it. Their teacher knows this. I work in theatrical lighting. It's pricier, but gaff tape is far superior to duct tape. Tears better, sticks better, looks better, doesn't leave that nasty residue when you peel it off something. You can write on it in Sharpie, so it's great for labeling. We use it to label lights, secure cables, basically anything you might need tape for. If you're running cable across the ground, use gaff tape to keep it in place. It's not waterproof, but other than that it's the perfect tape. I love it. Edit, since people are asking, my brand of choice is ProGaff, but to be honest I haven't really shopped around. Every theater I've worked for so far has used ProGaff, and I've never had a problem with it. I work at a interstate mountain tunnel in Virginia. Please, for the love of God, don't stop to take pictures. Yes, it is cool, but stopping like that has caused more accidents than anyone would believe. Get a third party to do inspections on homes or rentals before you move instead of who the retail agent or landlord will provide. That third party inspector will be more honest about things that are faulty in the home rather than one that's contracted with the agency. Also, pay attention to services your town will provide and what community projects they're personally engaged in funding. This will affect your property taxes if you buy a home. I'm a civil engineer and I think everyone should know that yellow light time is dictated by the speed limit. For example, if the speed limit is 40 miles per hour, you have 4 seconds of yellow light time. You have 1 second of yellow light time for every 10 miles per hour. If the speed limit is 35 miles per hour, you have 5 seconds. Edit, I'm getting this question a lot so I will answer. The 10 seconds rule is a general rule of thumb. Signals with red light cameras have less yellow light time. Some areas may have shorter traffic lights than this because they aren't functioning properly. In this case it should be reported to your community's public works. Be interested, not interesting. I used to work in film and picked up a lot of acting tips used by industry professionals. One of the biggest lessons you learn in acting is when you're in a scene, don't try to show up the other person or look cool or say your lines in the most epic way possible. Instead, you truly listen to the other actor's lines. You notice details about them. You just immerse yourself in the moment and genuinely take it all in and understand it. And just by doing that and feeling the emotions of the scene and responding naturally, accordingly, boom, you've won an Oscar for the most realistic performance, because it's /real. But that's also a really good way to live life. Really, truly listen to people when they speak. Try to understand them. Notice beautiful little details. Remember what they love and what they hate and what makes them happy. Be invested in the moment. Don't just live your life trying to act cool. Americans, if you need help navigating a complicated government problem, call your representative at the local, states or federal level. There are staff members standing by whose whole purpose is to do constituent services. A lot of people think their elected officials just sit up in the Capitol but don't realize they have capital and district staff whose whole purpose is to help people navigate through government problems. When I turned 18, I received a letter from the Social Security Administration that told me I owed $52,000 to Social Security because they had determined that my father was not disabled for the last 2 years of his life and they had overpaid him. He spent the last 2 years of his life in the hospital and about 6 months in a coma, and he was apparently not disabled. I spent months trying to solve the problem on my own and was simply jerked around and treated like a criminal by Social Security. Finally, I got the idea to call my congressman and ask for help. Within a few weeks, I ended up getting an apology letter from the Social Security Administration saying they were wrong and I shouldn't have to pay for their mistake. That letter is in my baby book now. Life insurance applications are starting to use accelerated underwriting, which means they obtain you credit history, pharmacy records, education level, and other personal information to see if you qualify for the life insurance. Life insurance companies are starting to also use a network which link the findings, so if you get denied by one company and try to get insurance with another, the second company can obtain certain assessment results from the first company. The 3 most important things you can do to keep yourself safe during a house fire are super simple and very effective. 1. Have working smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors in your home. Also make sure that when you buy a smoke detector, it is a dual sensor type. Detectors can be ionization, which are good at detecting quick, flaming fires, photoelectric, which are good at detecting smoldering fires, or be a combination of both. Dual sensor detectors are slightly more expensive but much more effective than a singular ionization or photoelectric detector. Make sure that smoke detectors are installed as high as possible in every bedroom and hallway. Carbon monoxide detectors should be installed with at least one on every level of the home. In addition, you should have a fire extinguisher easily accessible in the home. Even if you put the fire out, still contact the fire department so we can ensure it hasn't extended into the walls or ceiling. 2. Close every door you can when you're asleep or not at home. Even a thin wooden door can greatly slow down smoke and fire spread. One thing that was driven into my head in the fire academy was smoke is fuel. All it takes is the right mixture of oxygen and hydrocarbons to create fire. If you have a fire in your home and you cannot put it out yourself, safely, that is, make sure you close as many doors behind you as possible while exiting the home. Teach children to shut their bedroom door if they cannot exit the house and to not hide under their bed or in their closet. They should try to stay in the open so it's easier for us to find them. Also teach them to make as much noise as possible. 3. Have a plan. Make sure you know where to meet family or other occupants of the home in the event of a fire. Talk to your kids about safe places to meet and make sure they know your home address to tell to the dispatcher. Have numbers available for your insurance and any family or friends you may have to stay with. 8. Thank you for my first silver. What is under your house counts. Before buying a home, talk to the city about the sewers and water drainage. Very old systems are sometimes still in use, and if the sewers haven't been upgraded in 100 years, you could have a very unpleasant surprise just down the road. Be a strong advocate for your health. Don't be afraid to talk with your doctor when you notice something that feels wrong to you. And don't be afraid to keep bugging people if you feel you aren't being heard. The medical field is full of people and people make mistakes. Also for women, especially those over 40, never skip a year for breast cancer screening, and if you have new symptoms, have it done again. Early detection really is a lifesaver. Those results at the top are ads, and the results below the ads are still actively manipulated by people with money. I work in IT and I can honestly say that by rebooting your device you will fix most of the software-related faults that happen. If that doesn't work, then Googling the symptoms will more than likely give you a fix or avenue for a fix pretty quickly. I work at a corporate call center for an MLM. Don't sign up for any of those companies. Thanks for the first silver, fellow r/antim, I presume. I work in the radio industry. Well, study to work in radio. You know those request shows? Yeah, those aren't real. They pick 1 to 2 requests per hour and then just fill the rest in themselves. Your belly button needs to be part of your cleansing routine in the shower. I'm an RN and have recently begun work in the OR. Anytime we have a patient getting incisions on their abdomen, we prep the belly button separately from the rest of the skin, and what I have learned from this is that a shocking amount of people have filthy belly buttons. I'm not talking a bit of lint, I'm talking a mound of lint that takes 4 swabs to remove, rolls of dead skin so copious that I have to use gauze to get it out. actual stones/pebbles of hardened detritus that I have to use tweezers to pick out. And this isn't on crazy obese people with a massive self-care deficit either. A good chunk of people with nasty navels are young and normal weight with 2 functioning arms. Clean your belly button. It's why God gave you fingers. Most lawsuits are total bullshit and settle out of court. If you're sued, the worst thing you should do is ignore it. Try to hire a lawyer. If you can't afford one, file a pro se answer and reach out to the lawyers to discuss resolution. Most lawyers are very friendly and honestly want to resolve matters for their clients. A phone call and a polite conversation can go a long way toward resolving a suit. I'm not a teacher anymore, but I learned a lot from it. I wish every parent knew that as your child grows up, you need to be their parent, not their friend. They need to experience failures and consequences. They need to be held accountable, by you, for their actions. You can be friends with them when they're grown, well-adjusted, responsible adults. I work in auto body collision repair. I am here to tell you that the size of a vehicle is only one piece of the puzzle in determining safety. Obviously, if you get hit by a semi, you are screwed no matter what sized vehicle you are in. But I have seen a Honda Civic hatchback get creamed by a Suburban. Honda was stopped at a stop sign, Suburban rear-ended them going 60 miles per hour, and the people in the hatchback walked out basically unharmed. This is only one example off the top of my head. Vehicles built after 06 to 08 started implementing advanced materials be used for points of impact/rails/body pillars. These advanced materials, think high-grade hardened steel, are extremely durable and do what they are supposed to do in terms of protecting the passengers from immediate harm. Also, a misconception about larger vehicles being safer is people think big equals safe. But these larger vehicles are slower, less agile, and have a longer stopping distance. If you are an attentive driver, you can more easily evade bad situations in a smaller, more agile vehicle. That is, if you have a decent reaction time and don't drive distracted. Short stopping distance has been a lifesaver for me a few times in my lightweight, compact car. I have avoided multiple potential collisions with wildlife, dogs, surprise road blockages, and unruly drivers. And don't forget that the taller a vehicle is, the more likely it is to tip over. I just want to let you know you have options, and if you need a larger vehicle for space, I totally understand. But larger vehicles are not safer as a rule of thumb. Check your furnace filter monthly. Check the cabin filter in your car yearly. A $70 ozone machine will permanently get rid of most smells in your home with just an hour of use. Pet, smoke, mold and other smells will be completely removed. However, ozone is toxic to living things, so it cannot be used with people or pets present. Ozone does however have a relatively short half-life, and return of normal use to the room can begin as soon as an hour after the machine has turned off. Hotels often use ozone machines to remove smoke smells when someone smokes in a room. They often have large industrial-size machines that only need to run for 15 minutes or so. The room will be fresh smelling and ready for the next guest with less than an hour turnaround time. Edit: if you get an ozone machine, please read the directions and warnings. There are several differing opinions on when the room can be used again, and I am not an expert. I just happen to know they work and most people don't know about them. So, it fit the topic. I work in health insurance in the US. Most people spend more time thinking about what they want for dinner than they do considering their options. If you are in a position where you actually get to choose your plan, actually take some time to consider those options. In most cases, lower premium means higher costs everywhere else. Think about how you use medical services. Do you keep on top of routine checkups and screenings? Do you take any medications on a regular basis or see any specialists? Pay attention to how much those services will cost, as well as whether or not they will be subject to a deductible. Try to estimate how many doctor visits you will have in a year and add that to the cost of the premium to see what you'll really be out. If your insurance denies something, don't just accept it as the final word. Read the denial letter. Are you being denied because they want you to try something else first? Talk to your doctor and ask if that service is a good option for your condition. If it is, great, you'll probably save some money going that route versus whatever the doc originally ordered, and if it doesn't work you're now in a better position to get whatever you originally asked for. If your doc doesn't think it would be good for you, then you have very good grounds for filing an appeal. Appeals are not difficult, and it is your right to file one. The denial letter will tell you where to send it. They may or may not have a form for you to use. It's better if your doctor will do it on your behalf, but you can do it too. The insurance company can request documentation from your doc. Just say, I see that you want me to try XYZ drive. Jones doesn't think I'm a good candidate for that because, insert reasoning here. Please request additional information from them if needed. The insurance company is obligated to have appeals reviewed by someone different than the first review. They may see something different or have a different interpretation of the policy than the first reviewer. In my experience, only about 5% of denials are ever appealed, but they are successful around 40 to 50% of the time. Also, if something is appealed and overturned enough times, the insurance company may change their policy as a result. I forgot to mention my best tip. If you feel like you are getting the runaround from your insurance company, or they are not paying something that seems like it should be covered, reach out to your state's insurance department. Inquiries that come from the office that regulates us and has the power to shut us down are taken very seriously, and we are obligated to respond in a timely manner. Lots of people like to think that threatening to sue will scare us. Letters from lawyers are not handled any differently than letters from doctors, except that you create the added step of it going through our legal department. Auto inquiries from the ID get walked from department to department, and we have to hope that all our ducks are in a row or we will be screwed. I used this knowledge to my benefit when I was in a car wreck many years ago. The other driver's insurance was giving me a lowball offer, trying to use cars that weren't as loaded as mine to determine the value. The lady was also being super rude to me. All I had to do was tell them I had spoken to the ID and quote the verbiage I was provided, and her tune changed immediately and drastically. I suddenly had a much more reasonable offer on my car, and her attitude changed from outright rudeness to only slightly snotty. Edited to add, thank you for my first award, kind stranger. Just exercise, people. There is not a single medicine, cool clothing item, quick fix, whatever, that will give you a healthier and better life than exercise, except for circumstances where you need a medicine to live. Even 20 minutes of walking a day can have profound effects on your health. It's not hard, just exercise.